Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'd like to thank the organizers of MAS-ICNA for inviting me to speak today. Inshallah, this conference is a benefit to us all. So I've been asked to speak a little bit about my experiences as a minority on Team USA, delving not only into the obstacles and barriers that come along with being an African-American Muslim athlete, but also how each test, each misconception has further sparked my desire to compete and represent the Ummah in a positive light, inshallah. Just a quick poll of the audience. Who here is familiar with fencing? Raise of hands. So many, that's exciting. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the sport, fencing dates back hundreds of years where kings and nobility would essentially duel with swords. Fencing today is an Olympic sport and essentially fighting with blades. So basically, I'm your modern day like hijabi Zorro in a sense, right? So some of you may be wondering how, as an African American, or even as a Muslim woman, I found fencing. So how I wandered into the fencing gym is actually, I think, an interesting story. Early on, my parents encouraged me and my siblings to participate in sports. They felt that engaging in sports provided us with opportunities, me and my siblings, to be physically fit, but also to be active and social in a productive and halal way. Growing up, I played many sports, including softball, tennis, track, and even volleyball. And for me, when it came to the uniforms, it was always a constant struggle. In softball, I had to wear long sleeves under my team uniform. In volleyball, I wore sweatpants instead of the shorts that my teammates wore. And these additions came with my already adorned hijab. Even though I was a member of the team, it was hard to truly feel a part of the team. So when you're in your uniform, you stand out as being different. One day when I was 12 years old, I was just driving along with my mom in the car, and we're passing a local high school. In our high school, we had these really big, picture windows, and inside she noticed a team practicing inside. They had on these long white jackets, they had on pants, and they had these masks that covered, their heads. And the attire of the players and the fact that they were fully covered absolutely mesmerized me as a kid. My mom said, I have no idea what that is, but when you get to high school, I want you to try it. Fencing presented a really unique opportunity for me where I felt comfortable in my values religiously and yet also fulfilled my desire to participate in sport. When I was 13 years old, when I got to high school, I joined the high school fencing team in New Jersey, where I grew up. I remember the very moment when I put on the fencing mask for the first time. Like most things, it took a while before I got the hang of it. And, it was a few years before I was any good. I was actually pretty bad in the beginning. In my first 3 years fencing, I fenced épée. For those of you who are familiar, we have 3 weapons. There's foil, épée, and saber. And each of the weapons are shaped a little bit differently, and also the target area is different. So épée, the target area is full body. You hit with the point. It's a little bit slower. And for anyone who knows me, I'm I don't know, I like being aggressive in the sports field, and I ended up changing to saber 3 years later. And saber's a lot faster. Have you ever seen fencing on television? That's what you would probably be watching. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more spectator friendly, and the actions are a bit quicker. But anyway, I remember losing at practice to the older kids when I first started. And I also remember how frustrating it was for me as an athlete to lose. And what also sticks out in my mind is remembering my teammates, kids from other schools, parents from other schools, and sometimes even referees commenting on my hijab, making comments about my skin color and reminding me that I was different and that fencing wasn't for me. They saw me as being different, but what I love most about my sport was being able to put on my mask and being judged for my abilities as an athlete and not for my faith or my ethnicity. Anyone who knows me knows how fiercely competitive I am. I don't like to lose ever. if my siblings were here, they would probably be clapping right now. We are super competitive in our house. And fencing, I'm sorry. One of the amazing things about my participation in sport is that it's taught me to deal with adversity and growing from it. I made a promise to myself in high school, despite, you know, the things that people would say, that despite the things that they thought of me, I promised myself as a freshman at 13 years old that I would work harder than anyone else, that I would work harder athletically, that I would work harder than anyone else academically, and inshallah position myself to attend one of the best universities in the country. It took some time, you know, a lot of sweat and a lot of tears, but alhamdulillah, I received an academic scholarship from Duke, where I was a 3-time All-American. And when I graduated from Duke with a double major in international relations and African studies, I decided to pursue fencing full-time. Around the world, you know, women are permitted from playing sports for various reasons. And even with those exceptional, you know, athletic talents, they may find it hard to compete at the higher levels when resources become even scarcer. I saw a unique opportunity for myself. I noticed that there had never been a Muslim woman on the United States fencing team, and that there had never been an African-American woman on the women's saber team. I remember thinking to myself that making a national team was not something that I wanted for myself, but it was something that I wanted for minorities in this country. I wanted other people who look like me to be able to see themselves in that space. When I picked up the fencing sword some 16 years ago, I never imagined it would bring me so far. Alhamdulillah. I never thought that I would be blessed to accomplish so much. I'm the first Muslim woman to represent the United States in international competition. Oh, thanks. I'm currently ranked number 3 in the United States and have ranked as high as number 10 in the world. Alhamdulillah, this summer, my team recently won world championships in Russia. I've broken common stereotypical notions by excelling in sport, not typical to minority or Muslim women. But none of this would be possible without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Muslim women are not common in the sports arena, that in part being many sports require them to compromise the modesty of their dress. In my case, I found a sport that embraces my religious beliefs and my desire to wear the hijab. My desire to wear the hijab brought me to a sport that I love, but I probably wouldn't have discovered otherwise. I loved fencing from the very first moment I picked up my sword. I love that it allows me to be competitive. I love that it allows me to be tactical. But most of all, I love that it doesn't compromise my Islam. In the Muslim community, oftentimes, especially as women, we shy away from things that are outside of the Muslim norm or outside of our cultural box. It's okay to follow a goal, a halal goal that is outside of the Muslim norm. And what is most important is that we perfect what we do while keeping the tenets of Islam. My desire to wear the hijab brought me to a sport that I love, so inadvertently I was exposed to a sport that gave me the foundation to be where I am today, alhamdulillah. In turn, my hijab brought much attention to the sport of fencing and Muslim awareness in the United States. As the first Muslim woman to represent the U.S. in international competition, I pray that my achievements provide other Muslims and minority women the courage to participate in sport and pursue their dreams. I hope that with every stride that I make, inshallah, opens the doors for women and girls around the world. Inshallah, I sincerely pray that my achievements pave the way for Muslims who come after me, instilling in them that whatever they do or are good at, make it a way to increase their hasanat and good deeds and earn a place in Jannah, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves that if one does a job, he perfects it. I challenge each of us to find our niche. I hope that my story inspires you to dream big and never ever allow others' misconceptions of your religion, of your gender, to permit you and stop you and hinder you from accomplishing your goals. My hijab brought me to a sport I never would have discovered otherwise, and I'm very thankful every moment of every day. I leave you with this. With every blessing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses upon us, we must be thankful and remember to give back in our own way. Be proactive in your communities. Be proud. Don't shy away from things that you want to do. No goal is insurmountable. Nothing out there is something that you can't achieve and you can't conquer. And just remember Allah in everything that you do. Thank you so much, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.